Martin Dougherty. I'm still confined to quarters, but we've had the window open today, which is a bit like having a day out. Anyway, I'd like to discuss the Field Catalogue. Now, as some of you may know, I used to work in the defence and security industry, and I've played a weapons expert on TV, and I've written a lot of books about conflict and weaponry, so this is a subject that I'm very, very keen on. So I wanted to produce a book that's more than just a list of weaponry, particularly generic weaponry that's differentiated mainly by how much damage it does, how many dice. You can get that in the Central Supply Catalogue, you can get that in the core rulebook. This is something a little bit different, this is something a little bit special, because this allows you to customise your weaponry and to gain meaningful advantages, but also to have to make some trade-offs. Because I'm not a fan of the use this weapon is strong, it's a win button, that's how it is. I don't like that. To me, it's all about trade-offs. The whole mercenary experience is all about making decisions and living with your decisions and making them work. It's no different here. So the first third or so of the Field Catalogue is the weapons design section and also the concepts that underlie it. In order to build the weapon you want, you have to make some decisions. What do you want it to do? If you wanted to do something particularly well, there's something else it's not going to do so well. And we introduced a number of concepts which you don't always have to use, but they do become important at times, and this gives you the chance to create a meaningful advantage in return for a problem somewhere else. So your point soldier carries a short shotgun, get that on target very quickly, and it's got good knockdown power, but it doesn't penetrate armour very well, it doesn't have much range. It has advantages, it has disadvantages, and our system reflects this. Creating this system was something of a descent into madness for me. Every bit of it that I got right, something else went wrong. Trade-offs. Turns out writing the rules has been an exercise in trade-offs as well. But what we've ended up with was certain underlying concepts which you don't have to use. You only need to look at them when they become relevant. So most of the time you're not going to be particularly worried about weapon overheating. But if you have an extremely high firepower weapon and it's absolutely critical to stopping that horde of whatever they are, we need to start worrying about whether it's overheating, because that's a story, that's a problem to solve, that's a situation where you need to make trade-offs. Do we keep shooting and hope for the best? Do we allow it to cool? How do we deal with the situation? There are many concepts in this book, that's just one of them, but every one of them works like that. It's all about creating dramatic necessity. We also had to consider how quickly one weapon comes on target relative to another. Of course, you can just use the initiative system if that's what you want, but if you use the rules that we've put in Field Catalogue, suddenly there's a situation where there is an advantage to be gained by being the guy with a pistol when somebody comes around the corner with a big heavy rifle that they've got to bring to bear, or using a shortened shotgun, using a submachine gun. Using a weapon that's specifically designed to get on target fast will give you advantages under certain circumstances. Other weapons are good at knocking people down. Doesn't matter that much whether he's dead or injured, what you want is him not to be shooting, so he's on his back. It's a weapon that's good for knockdown, that might be excellent at first contact, but if it doesn't penetrate very well, that guy's still in the fight once he gets up. Is that what you want? Well, if it isn't, design a different weapon. We gave much more consideration to armour penetration versus damage capability, and some weapons of course are the other way around. They do tremendous amounts of damage but they don't go through armour very well. Explosive rounds, for example, they will explode on the surface. Now that doesn't make a lot of difference if the other guy's just wearing a leather jacket, but if he's wearing heavy armour, your explosive rounds are not going to do very much harm to him. Might rattle him, might scare the bejesus out of him, but it's not going to penetrate his armour, it's not going to do that much damage. Whereas an armour piercing round might well, but against an unarmoured opponent, the armour piercing round will over penetrate, not do all of its damage. The explosive round, on the other hand, will most definitely get their attention. So this is another factor. We also included recoil. Usually it's not that important, but some weapons are quite difficult to control. For example, large caliber, small, high firepower automatics are quite difficult to control. There are rules in there for controlling them, and so it goes on. If you want something that will get you a one-shot stop every time against anyone in any armour, I can recommend a fusion gun. Otherwise, you're going to have to make trade-offs. Speed on target, knockdown capability, armour penetration, raw damage, and a number of other factors all add up to a set of trade-offs that you're going to have to make. It's not just, oh, well, this is the best gun you can get, but it's really expensive. Just grind for credits and you can have it. It doesn't work like that. You're still going to have to accept disadvantages, which is, of course, realistic. At the end of the day, take a look at the real world. There are no win button weapons. Every weapon that is put into production, every weapon that's adopted by the military anywhere, has trade-offs. An assault rifle is short, handy and easy to get in and out of vehicles with, but it lacks range. And there have been conflicts where we found actually heavier caliber rifles would have been a better idea because we need the range. So when you design a weapon with this system, you need to decide first of all what you want it to do. So you choose a receiver, and then you fit a stock or not and a length of barrel suited to what you want. That'll affect its characteristics. There are features you can fit. Do you want this weapon adapted for use in vacuum? Do you want to use low powered ammunition for low recoil? Do you want to use special ammunition, rocket propelled rounds or something like that? Do you want to increase its rate of fire? You can create an eye-watering rate of fire, but that means the weapon might not be controllable for a lot of people. That could be a problem. You can build something that's got a ridiculously heavy caliber. That might be a problem for some people. Other people might be fine with it. You make your trade-offs, you add your accessories, the price inevitably goes up, and ultimately you end up with a weapon that may well not be exactly what you wanted. But that's how it works. All you can do is optimize as best you can and make it work. That's the reality of weaponry. The rest of the book, which is quite a big book, is given over to equipment and weapons and vehicles that you might want. So we start off with a chapter on small arms and light support weapons, which has, for me, a few highlights. Do you want a compact Gauss pocket pistol? We've got one of those. We've also got a smoothbore revolver firing explosive rounds. Very good for close quarters work and not much good for anything else. We've also got assault weapons, Gauss shotguns, a Gauss sniper rifle. We've got modular advanced combat rifles. Quite a selection of weaponry, and there should be something there for most people's taste, and a few oddball things that you either like them or you don't. Some of them are just plain ridiculous. We wanted a personal defence weapon for vehicle crews. We wanted commonality with the magazines used by the rifles that the rest of the unit would use, but this thing had to be short. What we ended up with is something that was essentially an oversized pistol with a semi-bullpup configuration and a rifle magazine stuck in the top. We can make it work. It will deliver a lot of firepower. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. And the design system produced a few results that surprised me. There's nothing in there that I think is impossible or implausible, but there are some trade-offs that lead to places that I wasn't expecting to go. So I was surprised by some of the stuff that I was designing. Did I mention this book was a bit of a descendant of madness? Well, take a look at it. You'll see. But there's more to this than just the small arms chapter. There's also chapters on personal equipment, support level equipment and heavy equipment. Things that some mercenary units can't live without, things that no mercenary can live without. So supposing you're going through a building with electronic locks and so forth, do you really want to take the tech guy with you? Those guys can be annoying, right? So take an auto hack. Providing it's set up right, it will hack electronics for you. It will get you through the doors. You're welcome. We've got a whole range of other useful devices. Match tarps, one-use camouflage units, all kinds of marvellous devices that'll make your life easier and probably longer in the mercenary trade. We also had a look at heavy weapons and the vehicles that you might want to mount them on. So we've got anti-vehicle cannon, heavy auto cannon, VRF Gauss guns, all that sort of thing. If you've got the money, there's your firepower. and vehicles to carry them. And some of these vehicles are quite mundane. A big truck. Well, it's not just any big truck, it's a military truck that we converted, because every one of these vehicles has variants. We didn't just create one vehicle, so every one of them has at least a couple of variants, and the big truck has a variant we ended up calling the bomb bus. Now, I'm not admitting responsibility for this, and it's never been in any game I've ever played, but essentially a giant logistics truck coated in armour, festooned in guns. What's not to like about that, right? For those of a more sensible orientation, we've got support vehicles, armoured cars, grav sleds, and tanks. Because some mercenary units can afford tanks. And a few starships. And these vary. A couple are true Star Merc vessels that you could use for escort work. There's a personnel transport that can carry a whole company of troops, and one other vessel that, if you're a well-off mercenary unit, you might really want, a diplomatic vessel. It's not just a diplomatic vessel, it also has command and control facilities, and it has electronic warfare facilities, and it has intelligence facilities. But basically, if you're going to impress a client, you turn up in your own mobile starfaring headquarters. Why not? If you've got the money, why not? So overall, the Field Catalogue is exactly what it says. It's a catalogue of everything from knives, pocket pistols, the odd pointy stick, bombs, grenades, missiles, VRF Gauss guns, tanks, starships, anything a self-respecting mercenary unit might want. And more importantly, the trade-offs involved with these devices are meaningful. It's not just cosmetic, except the bling attachment for weapons, which is exactly what it says. It's basically gold gun camo for those people who like that sort of thing. That's your own problem. But for everybody else, the trade-offs involved in this system create solutions to problems that might arise in a mercenary campaign or anywhere else. Because anybody can walk around a corner and come face to face with a bad guy and need to put them down fast. And if that's where you are, this is the book for you.